Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Indonesia, from a beautiful boarding school in Bogor. Good morning to the honorable judges, respectable audiences. I hope you all are doing well because today I am standing here to deliver my speech about the G20. Did you know that in this world there is one group of countries that contains 19 main countries and the European Union? Did you know that our beloved country, Indonesia, will be a chairman of G20 in one of our island, Bali? And do you know why G20 matters? So, the name of the group of countries that I mentioned called the G20. When we hear a name G20, you will know that group is a famous group of countries. But many people don't know what the G20 really is. Before I tell you about why the G20 matters, I will explain about the G20 first. G20, as the name implies, the group of 20. This group contains 20 member countries and Indonesia is also a part of it. The chair of the G20 is determined on a rotating basis each year among its members, with the chairing country working closely with its predecessor and successor, also known as the Troika, to ensure the continuity of the agenda. And because in this year, Indonesia will help a chairman of the G20 summit, the Troika will be Italy, Indonesia, Indonesia, and India. And why G20 matters? Together, the G20 accounts for around 80% of global economic output, almost 75% of global exports, and around 60% of world's population. So, just based on that brief data, we can find out why the G20 is important for its members. 80% is a really big number when we talk about the output of global economy. 75% of global exports is also big. For your information, the benefit of GDP as a concept of national income is to compare the progress of a country's economy from the time to time, assessing a country's economic performance and as a guide for formulating government policies. And 60% of the world's population. Maybe that doesn't sound big when compared to the previous numbers. But this is about the world's population. If we count the world's population of 100%, which is around 7.7 billion, then imagine how much 60% is. Indeed, 60% of 100% is less, but it's still a lot for the world's population. And the 60% of the world's population is in the G20 forum represented by the leaders of their respective countries. So, those are why G20 matters. It affects many things for its members. The situation in the global economy looks better now than it did 5 years ago. Economic growth is recovering, but risks, of course, are still very great. And now, we are already at the end of my speech. Sorry for the tons of mistakes that I did. Thank you for listening. Last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.